How does X power translate to competitive skill? This is a discussion that comes up in the competitive Splatoon community once in a while, centering around whether we should use X power as a skill evaluation over tournament results, and if X power is even a good indicator of competitive skill at all. The topic is making its rounds again now that the season has ended, and I have opinions. So let's talk! For those less connected to the competitive community, there's kind of three ways that skill can be talked about. You've got divisions, X power, and then straight up tournament results. The main reason we need some kind of measurement system for skill is to find teammates or opponents at a particular level. You don't usually want to scrim a team or recruit a player too far outside your skill range. Currently, the most common way to describe a player's skill level is with competitive divisions, which go from the lowest in Div 10 to the highest in Div X. These divisions are assigned to teams once a year through the tournament league Ludi, which assigns your team a division based on tournament results. Nothing to do with online ranked or X battles. Divisions give us succinct, commonly understood language to quickly communicate what skill level we're discussing. But there's also a lot of issues with using Ludi divisions. Firstly, they're assigned to whole teams, not individual players. Maybe one team member is significantly better or worse than the rest, and their team gets assigned a div that's fairly accurate for 3 of the players, but completely inaccurate for that 4th. Even so, all 4 of them have it listed on the results page forever. Second, not every team plays in Ludi, so not everyone has an officially assigned div, and as soon as that Ludi season ends, everyone is left having to estimate their divs based on results against other teams who are also estimating their divs. And finally, divisions are all relative to whoever else is playing that season. The long version of how divs are assigned is that each division only has room for a certain number of teams. Tournament organizers start by filling up Division X with the 12 teams most likely to win majors, then move on to Division 1 with the next most likely to win, and continue all the way down until they run out of teams. This means that the difference between a team being assigned Seed 12 of Div X or Seed 1 of Div 1 is literally just if 11 teams better than them decide to play that season, or 12 of them. If every current competitive player from Div X to Div 6 suddenly got Thanos snapped, players that would have been assigned Div 7 would suddenly be filling Div X slots. Not because their skill level has changed, but because the level of their competition has. The skill level of any one division will never be exactly the same year to year. So if divisions have all of these issues, why do they remain the primary way that we talk about skill? Well, I don't think it's because it's actually the best way to talk about skill, but that, at one point, it was the only way to talk about skill. And it cemented itself in our culture and never really left. Splatoon 1 didn't have X rank. You grinded all the way up to S plus 99 and then nothing. No leaderboard, no further information about if you're improving. That's all you had to work with in-game. When Ludi started, it necessarily gave people a way to quickly describe their skill and track their progress outside of a rank. Then, when X rank was released in S2, Western players felt that the point system was unfair, sometimes even giving you 0 points for wins, while a single loss could tank your power. The West's X rank has also just always been worse than JP's. If you want to play against the best players, well, they're in Japan. Playing at hours, NA is normally asleep, and that's if you even could match into them at all with regional matchmaking. If you do manage to get in a JP lobby, enjoy your lag! So when X Power was first introduced as an option for us to describe skill, we didn't take it. And finally, we've made it to modern day Splatoon 3 X battles. Generally, people have a much more favorable opinion on how X works now. The points have a minimum set value so they don't feel randomly unfair, the Western scene has grown massively, giving us way more quality competition over here, and you at least get a little bit of say in what region you play against, since you can decide to play Intentatech for the Americas or Takaroka for JP. Although there is still regional matchmaking involved, honestly, most of my Takaroka lobbies are primarily JP players. But I don't know, I've heard other people might not have that experience. I also wonder if it helps that we have the choice to opt out of X battles on days where we want to play ranked but not hard commit to grinding X. You can go play series or open and then come back to X when you're in the right headspace for it. In S2, it wasn't a separate queue, it was just your rank. You either risked it all or played turf. Better mental going in means better mental coming out, and a better overall impression of the experience. But despite all the improvements, the Western competitive scene largely still doesn't put much focus on X power when talking about skill. We've certainly warmed up to it a bit in the last couple of years, but it's nothing compared to the Japanese scene, which puts a huge emphasis on it. And it kinda seems to me like the main thing holding us back from taking XP more seriously is just habit. We've been fine without it so far, so there's not a lot of pressure to make a change. Plus, X-Power is still not a perfect measurement of skill. The system does need enough data on you to be able to give you an X-Power that is actually based on your ability to win and isn't just thrown off by weird outlier matches. It does take a decent time commitment to grind since the system does need enough data, and you can only calc as high as 2500 on season resets. Also, the rotation system sucks. I can't even get into that here, but know that it is a real consideration. And yet, even with its flaws, I personally recruit for my team heavily taking X power into consideration, even though most teams don't care about it at all, only tournament results or division. In fact, I don't care if players have any competitive results, provided their peak power is around 2500. So I want to argue for why I think X is a good measure of skill, why I personally value it so much in recruitment, and where I think we could go with this as a scene. Maybe? So what does your X power actually measure? X power is a measure of 2 things: your likelihood to win a match, and your ability to hard carry, which is like what makes you win. You might have noticed that something I did not list as a flaw of X is the random matchmaking, where you encounter some of the most interesting players in team comps. And yet, this is not a bug, but a feature. Like, the feature. And it leads me to why X power matters at all. X power matters simply because X battles are the most efficient way to improve, and your power will reflect that improvement. When you roll teammates that are just not pulling their weight, you do in fact have to do way more work. And that's what makes you good. You are the only common factor in every match, so you have to make yourself the strongest factor in every match. In comp as well, you can't tell me that you've never been in a situation where there's 10 ticks left and you're 3 down, and you know that the literal only way you can win is to get a quad right now. That's the kind of thing that solo trains you for. The randomness also means that you need to learn how to do everything and when. It's the ultimate demonstration of role fluidity. A support player, roles are fake, doesn't have the luxury of doing nothing but paintballing every match, because if you're not the one getting kills, it's quite possible that no one is. I don't have the luxury of feeding 24/7 as much as I'd love to, because it's quite possible that my teammates are already doing that for me. X matchmaking also exposes you to a lot of weird comps, stuff you would never see in tourneys. Competitive team comps can be really formulaic. You'll definitely find some weird ones, but you'll rarely find anything as out there as the stuff you regularly get in solo. Having to figure out strengths and weaknesses of weird comps and how to adapt to them stretches your theory knowledge in a way regular comps don't. And this one is my biggest thing, listen up. To improve, you must be exposed to skill levels above your own. Yeah, sometimes you'll randomize into basically a Div 9 lobby, but sometimes you'll randomize into a Div X lobby. Being the worst person in the room is an excellent way to learn. It's my preferred way. Just getting thrown onto a moving treadmill and having to figure out how to sprint to keep up. You'll pick up on things by trying to follow teammates' leads, and being basically dragged along in the speed of a match way faster than you're used to will inoculate you to matches at a higher tempo. If someone with 2700 X power got into comp for the first time and tried to start out on an entry-level team, their matches would feel agonizingly slow, because they've already been forced to learn to keep up with the big dogs. You can also get these types of experiences using a variety of pickups, open-level tourneys, and upscrims, but JP X rank is the most accessible and efficient way to get experience playing with and against people better than you. So yeah, I think X is both a good measure of skill and extremely important, but that's actually not why I value it so much in recruitment. Well, not entirely. I mean, yeah, skill is a factor for sure, but my other reason is that I think X power can say a lot about the player themselves. It's not some inherent endorsement or condemnation of their skill. There isn't a good X power to have, but I think that it takes a certain type of person to solo grind X without anyone having to tell them to. The way I recruit is based on people above all else. I've given tryouts to people who don't meet my skill requirements simply because I like the way they think about the game, or I've heard that they're excellent to work with as a teammate, or that they have S-tier mental. I will pick less optimal weapon comps because the people are the most optimal. I like playing with people who see improvement the way that I do, and I learn more when I'm having fun playing with people that I like. I care more about XP and recruitment because I find that it draws forward people who value the same things that I do. Now, I don't think everyone needs to, or even should, recruit this way. Figure out what you value in your teammates and find metrics that reflect those values. My values aren't the right ones, they're just mine. And now that I've explained all about why I like X power, let me stick a huge asterisk on all of that with Goodhart's Law, which was originally an economic theory that got generalized to life because it is smart and based, and it states, when a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. Basically, in this context, it's saying that when your only goal in X is to gain points as fast as possible, your X power stops measuring your strategic and mechanical improvement. It starts measuring just your ability to game the system. If you're playing your X battles thinking about nothing but how you can get your X power up the fastest right now, you are very likely to stumble into some gimmicky strategy that will get you hard stuck once you start playing people who consistently have the knowledge and mechanics to check you on it. Maybe your strategy will make your XP look good now, but are you really setting up future you for success, or are you wasting practice time on things that you'll have to actively unlearn later down the line if you want to start improving again? Improvement is slow, it is messy and non-linear, but if you want to be the best that you can be in the long run, the only thing you're doing by taking shortcuts is hurting yourself. There was a period where I, as an aggro dually player, got myself stuck playing uber defensively because you're way less likely to experience negative outcomes, or look stupid, if you take less risks. And it let me win for a while with teammates who fed all the time, but once my lobbies had teammates who had learned basic awareness skills like paying attention to the timer and numbers advantage, They were living at the right times more often, and I was living at the wrong ones. I had to completely relearn how to take risks to open up space for my team to get stuff done, when I honestly used to have a pretty strong understanding of that before my anti-risk era. I just hadn't been good enough yet to pull off everything I was trying. So sometimes I just blew up. And you know what? Because I was learning something new when I went to fix this, my XP dropped for a bit, before being able to rise back up to new peaks. And in a way, that drop is also a representation of my improvement, because you can't get good at something without messing it up a bunch first. Don't put too much stock in your power, don't let your ego ride on it, but at the same time, it does mean something. That something just isn't, again, whether or not you're good at the game. The same X power can tell a different story for different people. Just go enjoy the process. If you're using your practice time well, that will eventually manifest in your X power being raised. Low-key, this whole measurement target thing is also why I don't tell tryouts any context for why I want their X power. Solo grinding XP might only really show me that you love the improvement process because a lot of teams don't put much stock in it. But I don't know, I guess the cat's out of the bag now. So here's how I think we can try to maintain XP as a measure instead of a target. That whole big asterisk I just gave to XP really applies to every measure of skill, not just X power. We already kinda have the same issue with results culture, where people are really hyper-focused on farming tournament results over all else, basically in order to prove their worth. No player's skill can really be summed up with a 1 or 2 word explanation. So what do? Should we care more about X power or results? The answer is probably pretty obviously somewhere in the middle. I actually think it's fine if people don't use the same metrics to describe skill everywhere. They all mean something, and the one that a player most identifies themselves with also means something. As long as people can see the benefits and drawbacks of the different systems, I think expanding how we talk about skill can only be a good thing. If we place more value on X power as a measure of competitive skill, not only will it hopefully settle down results culture a little bit, but more people will start prioritizing X, which will make the scene improve and improve the quality of X battles and the accuracy of comp players' X powers. Having a happy medium hopefully will keep both X powers and tournament results simply a measure rather than a target. I don't think there's a right way to do comp. I don't think there's a right way to do anything in life. We don't live in a simulation, and there is not one pre-scripted right way to exist. If you're not a comp player and you're ever interested in seeing these types of discussions play out in real time, you should check out the comp Splatoon feed on Blue Sky. That's the most active place the community is publicly right now. And if you have any interesting recruitment strategies, I'd love to hear about them. I don't have this thing solved, so, you know, shoot them at me. Okay, that's it, bye.